Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
She is a healer. She helps you feel better from challenges that you're going through in your life. And those challenges could have begun in your childhood, and you're carrying them along with you. I worked with her in the last few days. We're going to talk about that today and the experience. She's a physical therapist, a certified emotion code practitioner, intuitive energy healer, and so much more. And she's back with us. Mila Velazquez from Inner Wisdom joins us once again. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me again, Steve.
Yeah, it was wonderful to work with you. And I could explain it, but I want you to start, and then I'll talk about my feelings and how, from my view. But you did a motion code with me. Is that correct?
I did. We did an emotion code session with you.
Okay. Um, and I find it kind of amazing that you were able to tap into my energy. And I'm going to try and verbalize this from memory, but as you were going through it, you were picking up things that were, blocking, energy being blocked, things that were a little off as you went through. Um, Explain that.
So you gave me the permission to tap into your energy field, and I tested your nervous system on my nervous system by using my fingers and using applied kinesiology. And basically, I started with asking, we talked about prior to what kind of issues, how are you feeling? And I wanted to find out what was happening with your subconscious. And I asked very simple questions. My question was, what's happening? And where are the energies being blocked? And, I asked, is it mentally? Is it spiritually? Is it physically? Where is this energy located? And we hit upon that you had an energy that was an emotional energy, and this is where you had the blockage. And I asked, well, what were those emotions? And the emotions that we hit upon were things like worthlessness and lack of control and shock and overwhelm. And at some point, I asked, well, when did you have this overwhelm? And, how old were you? And your body took us there and said, well, I was 40 years old, and that's when I had shock. And cognitively, I looked at you and said, does that make sense to you, Stephen? You shook your head and said, oh, yes, I know this very well. And we released these energies. I swiped my hand over my head and released the energies that were giving you blockages.
What was interesting here, and maybe this is the intuitive part, but when you brought up the years, how old I was, there were pinnacle things happening at that time. Um, One, when you said around 40, and there's a variation there of a few years before, after, right? That would have been when I got divorced. um, and then you went back and mentioning another year, way back, and within a year or two of the year you gave, which is the latitude that you described, that was the passing of my father. So there's no way that, you can't find that info anywhere. It's just not, but it was really on target. Now, I didn't see you because it was out of the camera, and we did a Zoom. It was out of the camera's view, but you were doing muscle testing every time you
Right.
asked something, right?
Right.
And was it the typical this muscle testing where you try to pull a chain,
Right.
open the chain?
So there are different ways that I could do it with my hands. Some people use their fingers like this. I prefer to use ring and ring method to test my nervous system for your nervous system. So if it stays strong for me, it's a yes. If it goes weak, it's a no. And when I ask the questions, it's like putting a piece of puzzle together, right? So I ask, where is the trapped emotion and what is it? And I keep asking different questions. And when I hit upon an emotion, I ask your subconscious, do you need to know more about this? And if the subconscious says no, then I go and I clear it. However, if the subconscious needs a little bit more of a, jogging of the memory, I then take you back and I ask, well, how old were you? Were you 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30? And I hit upon, let's say 30 years old. The subconscious is not 100% sure if it's 30, but it's give or take 2 years. And so when I jogged your subconscious, you consciously remembered that at that time, the emotion that came in was the loss of your father. So I intuitively know which questions to ask, being the detective. But it's your body that really gives me all the answers. And the subconscious doesn't lie, It never lies. So if you think that I'm not going to get to it, oh boy, you got something else coming to you.
Which is all amazing in itself, but you're doing it by tapping in to your energy to get the answers from my energy. That's the amazing part. It's one thing if I was doing the muscle testing here, like if you were asking a question and I can break the chain or I can't, whatever we establish is going to be the baseline for the right answer or the wrong answer. You're doing it on your end. I'm literally just sitting there. For the most part, you were just firing through. Does his subconscious need to know this? What is going on here? I'm just sitting there and answering a couple of questions occasionally. I didn't do anything. It was all you, which is pretty amazing how that works. And for people that may say, "Oh, come on, is that really legit?" All I can tell you is that the markers in time that you brought up were accurate. And they were, let's face it, you have a parent passing, it's a big deal. And you're going to probably carry that with you later in life, and might present challenges. Same thing with the ending of a relationship. It's going to kind of do the same thing, but you identified those. I don't know how, but you did.
Well, it's going back to quantum physics and quantum mechanics. It's the study of energy. If energy is everything, and our thoughts are energy, and our intentions are energy. And so if my intention is to connect to your energy and test your nervous system on my nervous system, with your permission, I am able to get in. Without your permission, I am not able to access that. And then I just simply ask questions and, see where the blockages are. And I am 100% accurate. Why? Because I am testing your nervous system, and your subconscious knows everything from even before you were born and the day you were born. So you might not remember, 50 years later what happened, but your subconscious will play that back, and your subconscious will remember, when you were 5 years old and what you perceived or what you absorbed. And that's how I'm able to, dig and dwell. And I don't have to hypnotize you. You're awake.
Right.
You're right there in front of me, whether I'm on the phone with you or Zoom or through an email or in person. I manual muscle test, and what your body tells me is what I go with. And you're the one that gives me the confirmation that I hit the nail on the head. So it's pretty amazing. People always say you can't make this up.
I didn't have to share anything with you. I chose to tell you because I think it's impactful if I say, oh, yeah, when I was that age, that happened. And if it's a big deal, I think that's going to help you work more effectively. However, I didn't have to tell you. Correct. I could have just said, yeah, there was something big happened, right around that time. And the results, would they be pretty much the same?
Absolutely. There are some people that want to tell me. There are some people that keep quiet the whole time. And they always say to me, this is like having therapy, only I don't have to say a single thing. And this works very well for people that have been truly traumatized or abused or have any kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. It's very hard sometimes to truly talk about it. And here, you don't have to talk about it. You just have to sit there quietly and let me go through your subconscious and find the underlying root cause of an issue and release it. And most people sit there and they shake their heads. Some people start to laugh. Some people start to cry. But they always say to me, God, Mila, this is amazing. And it's so easy and it's so gentle and it's so effective and non-invasive. You don't
Hmm.
have to, you don't have to remember you being traumatized at age 2. As long as your subconscious remembers, that's all we need.
Yeah.
And that's how
And
you heal.
and it does. It
And it
does.
does, sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's almost as if we're trying to make it not remember. Am I getting that? Does that sound reasonable? We're trying to get it to not remember certain things, or, you know, that's how I'm describing it, but really switching it off from whatever a trauma or memory is there because it's affecting your life now.
Correct. And what's wonderful about the emotion code is it's truly working with the subconscious. You consciously do not have to remember that event. So as long as the subconscious remembers and I can clear the energy, because again, an emotion is energy. So if had the emotion of shock come in and now it's sitting there vibrating at a different frequency and a different vibration in your own body, that's going to give you issues. It's going to give you eventual symptoms. And why should you have to remember what the shock was? You don't. It's the subconscious that has to remember and release it. And so some people do remember and some people don't. Some people want to remember, some people don't remember, and they say to me, Mila, can you jog my memory a little bit more so that I can consciously remember? And sometimes I can do that, and sometimes I can't. Why? Because your subconscious is your gatekeeper. And if it doesn't want you to remember, I will never be able to get it there.
There were a couple of times where you were bringing up a few things, very few. Most of them were like, yeah, that year that happened, that year that happened, where I would said, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what that is, which is probably something floating out there that I maybe forgot, maybe wanted to forget back in the day, whatever it might be. Then we talk about energy. What is the difference between emotion code and, let's say, something like Reiki?
So Reiki is using what energy of the source to heal. So we have chakras, and the premise behind it is every chakra has to be able to flow. The energy has to flow, and it has to flow mentally, emotionally, physically. When a chakra is blocked, we have issues. So for example, if the root chakra is blocked, we will be in fear. We will have physical symptoms like leg pain or low back pain. We will have anxiety from it. And so with Reiki, we use the source to open up the chakra, allow the energy to heal, to get that flowing so that it heals the energy. I have a little bit of problem with that is that here's the issue. Unless we release why you keep closing that chakra, okay, it will continue to close and you will continue to go to get it open. With the emotion code, we release the energy that's underlying there. And once we release it, it's no longer there. You start to heal. So we use the energy in a different way. And I'm not saying that Reiki is horrible. I think Reiki is wonderful. It's good for pain. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful healing modality. But it works a little bit differently than in the emotion code. With the emotion code, we truly get to where the underlying root of the cause of the problem is. We unblock that energy to allow everything to flow. And we do that through the subconscious.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your overall, and I'm fine sharing, I'm okay with everything here. Your overall view of me in terms of looking at the energy, what the end result was after the session, what overall thoughts? I guess like a report card.
Like a report card. So when we first started, I asked you where are some of the issues that you were having, and you said, a big thing was divorce, getting over your divorce. You had some issues with having ulcer, reflux, things like that. And what was interesting is that when I asked your body what was priority for you, it truly went to your emotional layer. And then I asked, well, what was the next priority? And it led me to an organ, which was your heart. And we started working on your heart. And as I was working on you, I can see how emotionally, you looked like you wanted to, truly cry. You looked like you were in pain. And as we were releasing the emotions of shock and overwhelm and worry, helplessness, wishy-washy, unsupported, disgusted, more worry, you seem to calm down. You went from being, oh, this is so, heartbreaking. My heart is tight and I feel like I'm just so, distressed, to when we finished, you seem to be so relaxed and being okay with releasing those energies. You physically looked to me like this could be. And at one point, when I asked, well, how big is your heart wall? You said it was 6 feet made of steel.
Now,
And
let's just say I didn't verbally say that. It was my energy giving you that, right?
no, I got that all from you. I mean, I tested you and I asked these questions, and that's the emotions that we released. And this is what I found. And as we kept on releasing, I could physically see that you were not in so much grief. You were okay. Your body, when we first started, you crossed your arms. You were sitting with your arms crossed. That showed me that you were protecting your heart. And as the session went on, you kind of eased up. You let your guard down. You were allowed to feel the emotions. You felt those emotions. And tell me, how did you feel as the days went on when we started to release? We didn't finish releasing your heart wall because you had a 6-foot heart wall. How did you feel?
I feel like a layer of fog has been lifted.
Right.
Now, call it that.
Yeah.
A little tired, although I was able to yesterday, rare that I have time during the day. So I did like an 8-mile hike, just getting in the woods. That was great.
You
Got to
were
do that.
grounding.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally.
Right.
But just a little sedate, if you will. That's the best way to describe it. Just like this, more chill than usual.
Right.
Is that normal?
That is very normal, and I expect that to happen. So, Dr. Brad says that when the energy starts to leave, you have a processing time. And some people process very differently. Sometimes people become moody. Sometimes they get exhausted, tired. Sometimes they're just not in the mood for anything. Some people keep running to the bathroom, Some people just feel all this energy coming in, like they need to clean their, houses or their homes. Animals sometimes will go and lay it in a different spot than they usually lay, or they don't want to be around other people or other, animals at that time. So some people, they cry all week long, and then that kind of, goes away.
Well, it's I would guess it's a purge. You're purging, let's
You
say,
are.
energy that didn't support you. Um, and things got moved around energetically in your body. So now I don't just mean me in general, but people, you're reacting to it. There's something that
Right.
was going on. Um, and I just want to be clear for those who may think, well, she could just be walking down the street and, do something with somebody's energy and rearrange things. And it's no, because I gave you permission.
Correct. So I'm going to tell you this quick story. When I work with animals, I have to get permission of the owner. And so I had a woman call me and say, Mila, there is a horse that I would like to purchase, but I'd like to get into the subconscious and really see, how is this horse doing? Is it having any issues before I purchase this horse? And I said, okay, we can do this. Please get me the owner's permission. And she called me back and she says, you have the owner's permission. And I go to work on this horse and I can't get in. I'm getting funky answers. I can't get in. It's not working for me. So I call her back and I said, I can't get in. You're not giving me permission from the owner. And I said, did you get the permission from the owner? And she said, well, I got the permission from where the horse is being kept by the person who's taking care of the horse and tending for the horse. And I started to laugh and I said, that's not the owner. And unless I have the permission of an animal's owner, I can't get in. And I don't care who's taking care of this, horse. And again, it's by the laws of the universe. If I do not have permission to enter your energy field, I cannot enter it. And that's the way it works.
Funny you should say that, because I adopted 2 cats in the last 15 months, and there was maybe a lapse of maybe like 4 months in between, the first cat to the second cat. I wished that I could have got into their, energy field and knew what I was dealing with. Now, I'm grateful very in that I think I have a certain energy that allows me to pick great pets, because I've had great luck with it. I mean, they're the best 2 cats ever. And they're just random. They were just, rescues. But I've got, one of them, I could walk in my door and say, Rago, give me a kiss. He jumps up on the counter. He's like, I feel that my energy was able to allow me to find those pets. Even my dog, same thing. And you hear stories of people, yeah, my cat's okay, but he's kind of aloof. Not mine. But what you're saying is so impactful. If we were able to see what was going on with that animal, and if it was a rescue, or maybe it went through something abuse back in the day, to even clear that out.
Absolutely.
How
I do.
major.
That's major. And, as much as I love to work with humans and children, my ultimate favorite truly is working with the animals, because I can take an animal that came from a puppy mill and that is afraid and doesn't like humans and doesn't want to be around and moping. And I can truly take that animal, release the trauma of the memory of what happened, and make this animal a happy, healthy, dog. And that's really, truly amazing to do. It's amazing to see. It's amazing to see how, a horse can behave one way, and when you clear it and you really ask what's happening and clear away some of that emotional baggage that they carry, wow, what these animals can do. And they're very highly vibrational. They're also very easy to work with because they don't have, all that stresses and experiences that humans do. So it's truly remarkable.
Wow. So that when you work with a human, I'm able to verbalize, well, this is what I'm feeling today. And I'm sure in the upcoming days, because we only had the session a few days ago, that I'll start feeling even better in terms of releasing that energy and such.
Correct.
I mean, again, I think I'm feeling, just kind of like chill, following this. And I even said to a friend, I don't know what's going on. But maybe it was that. The animal can't tell you what they're feeling. So how do we know, that, the healing has taken place with the animal?
Well, with animals, it's their behavior. I mean, it's simple. How do animals show us? So they show us through their behaviors, their performance, and their behavior. And the confirmation comes from the owner. So, for example, I had a woman call me and she said to me, Mila, one of my other dogs died, and my little pooch he stopped eating. He's sitting in front of that window, looking outside for 3 days now. He won't move. He won't play. He won't eat. I'm so upset over this myself, watching him struggle with the grief. What can we do? And I said, I got this. We can do this. She allowed me to work on her animal. Literally, within the next day, this dog started to eat. The next day, he started to play. He was able to release that grief, that shock, that worry, that nervousness, and go forward.
Wow.
Happy, healthy. And she called me up and she said, you can't make this up, Mila. And I said, no, you can't make it up by the fact that we can see the difference. And animals also process. So I worked on a Bouvier once, and I found all the energy inside the colon. And his owner called me and said, Mila, thank you very much, but you gave this dog, you released this energy, and this dog had diarrhea all night long. He kept me up. But the behavior stops immediately. So
Wow.
if we are talking about a dog that's aggressive and constantly is biting, we can stop that behavior by finding out, why do we have this behavior? What's the underlying cause? Release those emotions, and bingo, the behavior stops immediately. So
Amazing.
It's truly amazing to see. Truly amazing to see.
How do we book a session with you, or at the very least, learn a little bit more about everything that you offer?
So you can always get a hold of me at innerwisdomenergy@gmail.com. Write me a message and I will send you an email back, and we can have a 15-minute introduction to see if I am a fit for you, if I can help your animal or, anybody else. And we can do a Zoom, we can do a phone, we can do an email session. Sometimes if you're close enough to me, you can do an in-person session. And yeah.
Wow. I have to tell you, and by the way, you're in New Jersey. I have to tell you, I've had Reiki before. I felt what I feel is definite benefits. I've heard about emotion code before. I got to tell you, I believe in the energy and the transfer, all of it. The Reiki sessions I had long distance. We did it long distance.
Right.
I was wondering about the emotion code, but based on the way I'm feeling today, and in days after we had the session, there's definitely something there. And I feel like things have been cleared out. It's almost if I feel like somebody went to my face. I'm like, whoa, wait, and you're like, like I gotta come down, come back to earth now. But in coming back, there's clarity. In coming back, there's comfort, if you will. So
and
stuff.
that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
It's getting you balanced so that you could have the clarity, so that you could go forward in life.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
That's simple as that. It is amazing.
So cool. Mila, thank you for everything. Thanks for being here. And I look forward next time we get together.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me. This is so much fun.
Same. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.